Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So good morning, dear students, and welcome to today's session on Unit 3 of System Programming, and we are on the topic of compiler, that is the Unit 3 Introduction to Compilers, right? So now let us proceed. This is the contents of unit 3 phase structure of compiler entire compilation process. This is what we saw in the last session. Then the second part is the lexical analyzer, the role of lexical analyzer, input buffering. Then we have specification of tokens, recognition of tokens, design of lexical analyzer using uniform symbol table, lexical errors. And finally, we have the study of lex in this particular unit 3. So today's lecture outline is like we are going to see the role of lexical analyzer, input buffering, and specification of tokens. Maybe if we have time, we may cover recognition of tokens, design of lexical analyzer, and lexical errors. So before we start with the today's lecture contents, I would just simply like to have a revision of our earlier lecture. Uh, Last time we have seen what is compiler, and in exam you may get this question for around 2 marks to 6 marks, that is what is compiler, and you can also write why we need compiler. So definition of the compiler and what the compiler does, that is what is expected here. You all know that the compiler, it translates the program into the high level source program, translates source program from high level to the low level, and it has so many different phases where it uses different system processing, I mean system softwares to process the source program and convert the source program into the machine level language. Okay. Also it could be asked, and this compiler, while translating, it is also making use of linker, loader. As you all know that the linker tool is used to link, okay, will be used for binding other external resources to the source code while generating the final object code. Similarly, loader is used to load the program into the main memory for the execution, right? So compiler, this particular is the what we say language processing system, which explain the complete process of the system which is running at the back end in our system for conversion of the source program into your machine language. Okay. And then we come to the phases of the compiler. So we have seen that there are two major phases in the compiler, that is the analysis phase and the synthesis phase. Sometimes there is also question asked on this particular topic, that is explain the different phases of compilation, right? Or the explain different phases of compiler. So this is a very common question. Also, it can ask a question like explain the structure of compiler. So structure of compiler, only the question format is different. You just have to say that the structure of compiler has two parts. First part is the analysis phase, and second part is the synthesis phase, and then you go on explaining the both the analysis and synthesis phase. That's all. Okay. So sometimes there could one question was asked in exam, what are the requirements that should be fulfilled by the compiler. So for requirements, you should say that compiler should have a correctness in sense of pointing out the syntax and semantic errors. It should be efficient. It has to be interoperability feature. Then the other characteristics like usability should be there. Retarget ability means what? Dear students, you know that compiler translate from source code to machine level code. Okay. But at the beginning, but in practice, we also know that the compiler can translate a given source into various target languages. Okay, so even though different levels of abstraction, so maybe the source program is any of the higher level languages. Okay, it can translate that different source codes into various target level language. That is also one of the feature or the characteristics of the compiler, right? Also for the competitive exams, as like TOC, you have MCQs based on SP. So there are types of compiler you can be asked in MCQs. We have seen there is a cross compiler, one pass compiler, a two pass compiler, threaded compiler, right? Incremental compiler. So there are different type of compilers. So this general things related to compiler you should know, so that you are in the position to answer the different MCQs which are put in the various uh, entrance exams, right? Now coming back to our phases of compiler. So as we know that it is broken down into two main parts: analysis phase, also sometimes called as the front end of the compiler, and the synthesis phase, also called as the back end of the compiler. So in analysis phase, what basically happens is it breaks down the source program into smaller parts and identify the strings or the tokens. Okay, and it produces the intermediate code from the source code, and the intermediate code is given to the synthesis phase, and as the output of the second phase you get the targeted program, right? So first phase, source program, intermediate code as an input to the second phase, and then it goes to the as a output of synthesis phase we have a machine code. So these are the phases of your compilation. The same thing can be shown with the help of the diagram. Even in exam you can draw the diagram to explain the phases of compiler. Okay, I hope it is clear to you all. So this analysis phase, as you can see in this particular diagram, it consists of operations such as lexical analysis, syntax analysis, syntactic analysis, semantic analysis, right? Similarly, this synthesis phase, as you can see here in the yellow color, it also has this three particular operation, that is intermediate code generation, code optimization, and code generation. Okay, so in this phases also you have this particular processes, and this symbol table and the error handling, this two goes with both the phases. Okay, so analysis phase as well as the I mean the synthesis phase, it is making use of the symbol table and the error handling data structure in both the phases. Okay, so yeah, so there are how many? There are six phases we can say in the compilation process. Okay, so compilation process, conversion from source to the target program. There are six phases, and these are the phases of analysis part, whereas this yellow color, these three phases are the part of synthesis phase, and each phase interacts with the symbol table as well as with an error handler. So I hope this particular diagram which shows the phases structure of the compiler is clear to you. So while explaining the question on based on explain different phases, you can also explain your answer with this particular supported diagram. Okay, I hope it is clear to you. Then I think last time we also saw this lexical analysis phase, right? So where it is the phase which converts the high level input program into a sequence of tokens, right? And it can be implemented with DFA. This is what we have seen, and the output is a sequence of tokens that is sent to the next phase, which is the parser for the syntax analysis. So what does this lexical analysis does is, for it will read statement by statement, and in every statement of your code from the source program, it will read out the identify the tokens and give them to the next phase. This is what is the role of LA, to identify the tokens and send it to the next phase. What do you mean by token? That we have seen here. The lexical token is a sequence of characters that can be treated as single logical entity. We have also seen in the last session that what are tokens and what are non-tokens, white space, new tab, new line, right? So blank spaces, comments, these are all non-token, whereas all the other symbols are considered as token. Like here you can say X is a token, this symbol equal to sign is a token, Z is a token, plus sign is a token, Y is a token, whereas the white spaces would be considered as a non-token, right? So this is how, and the role of lexical analyzer is to identify the tokens and send it to the next phase. And also keywords, okay, are considered as tokens. So you when you talk about the tokens, the keywords, the operators, the constants, identifier, and the special symbol, all these are the considered as a tokens, whereas blank spaces, new line, tab, comments, these are considered as a non-tokens. So I hope that tokens, non-tokens are very much clear to you, right? Then this was what we saw, the lexical analyzer with detail. Again, to explain the role of lexical analyzer, we had explained this particular diagram, and from this diagram we can see here very clearly source program and what is the outcome. The tokens are the outcome which is sent to the next phase parser. When the parser wants the next token, it will ask the lexical analyzer, and then it will read the next line and send the tokens. Meanwhile, both all the phases are using symbol table, because tokens are stored in the symbol table, right? So I hope this lexical analyzer phase is very much clear to you. With this recap of the previous lecture, now let us proceed further with the next phase of, we can say, compiler. And the second phase of compiler is nothing but the syntax analyzer. So I think again this phase is known to you. Syntax analyzer, it is also called as parser, and it construct in this phase a parse tree is constructed, okay, out of whatever tokens are generated. So syntax analysis is the second phase of compilation process, okay. This phase, it includes the recognition of the declarations, expressions which you have written in the source program, all the executable statements, etc. And it is also making use of what the output from the lexical analysis that it receives. So syntax analysis is done with the help of the technique which uses the formal programming language grammar. Now here we you can see this term grammar. So again, TOC comes in the picture. This is the prerequisite. We have seen that for in LA is designed using DFA. Here syntax analysis phase, grammar comes into the picture. It uses the context free grammar to construct the parse tree out of the tokens, right? So what actually this syntax analyzer phase does it will accept all the sequence of tokens from lexical analysis phase, group them into into phrases where each phrase has the phrase type, okay, and then it will make a parse tree, or we can also say that syntax tree out of all those tokens. Okay, so this is how this particular we have seen even in TOC, for a given expression or a given grammar, how we construct a parse tree. So here a question is, you may ask that why we are using grammar, because the rules of programming can be entirely represented in some few productions. Okay, we have seen we can write the expression given in our source code, that line, suppose you have written some expression x is equal to z plus y. So this can be easily represented using a parse tree, because parse tree considers the operators, the symbols, and we can represent that operations easily with the parse tree, yeah, or using the grammar in form of productions, right? So using the production, we can represent what the program actually is, right? We have seen so many examples in the TOC, right? So the input has to be checked whether it is in the desired format or not. Syntax error can be detected at this level if the input is not in accordance with the grammar. So because we have the grammar with the production rule, and if it is not generating a proper production rule, that means there is some syntax error in your source code. That is what is the outcome, in fact, of the syntax analyzer, to find out any syntactical errors and indicate that to the a programmer. So when we are compiling our program, if there are certain syntax error, those syntax error are displayed by the compiler, and then we need to make those corrections to our syntaxes, and if it is a correct statement, then a correct production rules, by using those production rule, you generate a proper grammar. So this is the role of syntax analysis as a phase of compiler, right? Now next, I hope that this syntax analysis is clear to you. So it is making use of the technique of context free grammar, and to generate a syntax tree and find out the errors, right? Now next phase is the semantic analyzer. Now again, the input to this phase is nothing but the syntax tree or the parse tree, which is generated as an output of syntax analysis, right? So that becomes the input for this particular semantic analyzer, and output, what we can say, is nothing but the semantically verified parse tree. So what is the role of semantic analyzer? That it verifies the parse tree, whether it's meaningful or not. Okay. It furthermore produces the verified parse tree. Okay, so we have had a check of syntax. Now there is a check of semantics. For any language, we need to have syntax and semantics, both the checks, right? So this role of semantic check is done by the semantic analyzer, and whether the sentence makes a meaning, or whether the assignment statements are valid or invalid, that is what it makes finds out, and accordingly it will, the output is nothing but the verified parse tree, right? So semantic deals with the type checking constraints with the help of the rules. Okay, so what is the data type mentioned, or whether the syntax, the expressions are logical, operators are used correctly or not. So any kind of semantic related errors, whether the program is written according to the rules of the language or not, all this check marks is done at this particular phase, and the output is generated. Next phase, fourth space, step is nothing but the intermediate code generator. Okay, this phase act as a bridge between the analysis phase and the synthesis phase of the compilation process. Okay, so after analysis phase completion, the source program is divided into the symbol table and a parse tree where both are modified by the semantic analyzer, right? So this you understand. Then what happens from this information and all the data which is there in the symbol table and whatever parse tree is generated, the process of generating object code is begun in this particular phase of intermediate code generator. Okay, so three address code here, quadruples or triples or post fix, etc. So it generates a intermediate code. Okay, that is a form which can be readily executed by the machine. Okay, so these are the various forms of intermediate code. So the intermediate code is ready to be converted into the machine language. Okay, using the last two phases which are platform dependent. So this is the fourth phase. We have total 6 phases in the compilation, right? So till intermediate code, it is the same for every compiler, whatever compiler we are using. But after this particular phase, it depends upon the platform. So to build a new compiler, we don't need to build it from scratch. We can take the intermediate code from the already existing compiler and only build or develop a last two parts. Okay. So what is the outcome of intermediate code generator? So whatever are the earlier phases output, it will convert the parse tree or what we can say symbol table contents. Using the help of that, it will convert the program into the a machine level. Okay, it helps to generate a machine level code. That is what is the intermediate code generator. The phase 5, that is called as code optimizer. Okay, so these two are the extra phases which are just helpful depending on the platform which we are using and the efficiency and the space, whatever is the configuration of whatever machine or the device or the platform that we are using. With that, it is making code optimization. So it transforms the code so that it can consume fewer resources and produces the outcome with more speed, because that also matters to us, right? So the meaning of the code being transformed is not altered. Optimization can be categorized into two parts. One is the machine dependent and another is the machine independent. And there are so many different techniques which are used in the code optimization, like removing the redundant identifiers, removing unreachable section of the code, then identifying the common sub expressions, unfolding the loops, eliminating the procedures. So these are the techniques which are used for code optimization, right? And that supports for efficiency and the speed and optimize use of the resources. And finally, the last phase is the target code generator. The main purpose of the target code generator is to write a code that the machine can understand, right? So the output is depend on the type of assembler, and this is our final stage of the compiler. So this is how you have to explain all the 6 phases of compilation along with the diagram, right? Now these are certain data structures. Like we know that even the system softwares are making use of certain data structures while transforming or converting from one phase, one part to another. So as an intermediate step in the construction of lexical analyzer, we first produce flowcharts called as transition diagram, right? This transition diagram depicts the action that take place when the lexical analyzer is called by the parser to get the next token. So this particular transition diagram, what is main purpose of this is just to keep a track, okay, during in the phase of lexical analyzer. So all it will keep the track of all the tokens. Suppose some pointers are used, forward references are used for that particular thing. It is a kind of table which will uh, keep a track of information about the characters that are seen as a forward reference while scanning the input. Okay. So this is that the transition diagram, it can be depicted graphically and using certain symbols. So this is the start symbol, always to begin with. Position in the transition diagrams are shown as circles, and the states, so the states are just indicated by simple oval. Start is with the arrow, okay, and then the connections between the different states are given by the arrows, and this double circle or the concentric circle, this is the final state, or we can say the accepting state of the transition diagram. So this is how for a given expressions, for the given tokens that are identified as a part of lexical analyzer, it can be shown with the help of transition diagram. So here you, as you can see, start. So this transition diagram depicts the expressions which are used in the source program, right? So this is the use of transition diagram. So here also one example is shown, a transition diagram for identifier and keywords. So start, letters. If it is a letter, the rules for have some languages have certain rules for identifiers and keyword, that it should start with maybe a letter, then it we may have letters or digit or other symbols and all those things, but it has to begin with a letter. Such type of transition diagrams can be shown. This is the transition diagram for white space. Okay. Now this is the next phase, which is called as recognition of the token. How much time do we have? Uh, okay. I think this portion we shall cover in the next session. Till now, any difficulties that we have, we can discuss, and then we shall continue with this particular part in the next session. Okay.